This valedictorian earned 2 college degrees in high school, but never gave a speech. Why? Because nobody handed her the mic. So now we're giving it to her. Meet Maisie Hatler, a teen prodigy from Ventura, California, who quietly earned 2 associate's degrees before most students figured out their senior class schedule in 11th grade. She also holds the highest GPA in the school's history with a 4.9 cumulative and a 5.0 for this term. But no stage, no spotlight, no applause. Today, we're fixing that. Welcome to the Traveling Principal Show. When the best moments in education aren't shared on stage, they are on this show. This is my attempt to honor Maisie's great accomplishments with her interview titled The Greatest Valedictorian Speech Never Heard. Welcome to the Traveling Principal Show, where navigating education feels like the scenic route, not the commute. Today we have a truly extraordinary guest, you guys, someone whose high school experience makes most of us look like we've spent 4 years just trying to find the lockers. Joining us from Ventura, California, live in person, Maisie Hatler. At an age when most teens are juggling TikTok trends, Maisie was busy earning not 1, but 2 associate's degrees in political science and in social science from Ventura College before even starting her senior year. We'll just get that out right from the start. She did finish 2 college degrees before she graduated from high school. But wait, there's more. Maisie has already collaborated with the United States Department of Education on digital safety and ethical AI, which honestly makes you sound like a bit of a teenage Sam Altman. I don't, take that for what you will, but extremely intelligent. And has been interviewed by Forbes, so I'm right after. Not really, but. And her inspiring public policy advocacy around youth mental health, which we're going to get into a little bit in this show. And somehow she still found the time to represent Guatemala in the Model UN. No big deal, right? No big deal. Next stop for Maisie, Stanford, class of 2029, which is fun to say, where she'll major in political science or public policy on a pre-law track. Stanford, if you're listening, brace yourselves. So, Maisie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I'm hoping some of your brilliance rubs off on me during this conversation. My kids did say I could use it. So, welcome. Future Stanford Cardinal and public policy powerhouse, Maisie Hatler, you guys. We're gonna jump right in. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna ask you some questions about everything from how you managed your time to AI, because I always wanted a student's perspective. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to touch upon your work with Model UN. Your thoughts on roughly when you're being in the 3% of those who are accepted into Stanford, what that feels like. And I also want to ask what it feels like to be interviewed by someone from Forbes, because I'm kind of, I'm pretty curious about that one. So we'll have a little fun with this segment, and we'll call it, What Would Maisie Do?
Great.
Okay? So I'll throw you directly into the middle of a situation in one of these different categories. And then however you want to handle that, everything from politics to youth engagement to AI, it'll be on you. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Quick peek into Maisie Hatler. Here we go. Question number 1 revolves around balancing books and being a teen, right? So we'll call it the Maisie method. What is the Maisie method, right? Earning 2 associate's degrees before most figured out the difference between MLA and APA. Format is genuinely incredible. It's amazing. I'm sure you know that. I don't understand if you understand how educators feel about that. Oh my gosh. But I want to talk about strategy. So how did you balance college coursework, regular high school responsibilities, extracurriculars, and still manage to stay sane, assuming that you did?
It was definitely a hard one. I'm 100% a procrastinator, so my biggest piece of advice for anybody who's balancing school or just a lot of things at once is to cut a piece of time out every single day to do your work, even if it's just 5 minutes. Like, making sure that you're consistently carving away at that workload instead of waiting till the night that it's due and trying to fit all of it in at once, because you're going to have a stress heart attack. It's just too much. You need to make sure that you're consistently doing your work, even if you're not sitting down for hours at a time, just throughout the day.
So it's a bit of a horseshoe game for you, where you're wanting them to death. You're doing a little every day, a little at a time.
Picking away at it.
Or you're not a crammer.
I would say that I'm a crammer and a procrastinator, but I'm really trying to break that habit
by doing a little bit at a time.
Taking my own advice. Yeah.
I like that style. So the Maisie method to balance ambition, success, and having a life is doing a little bit at a time every day.
Make sure you don't procrastinate. And
Okay.
It gets really hard. Like junior year, I'm not gonna lie, was probably the hardest year of my life. You know, I ended up taking 18 classes just junior year alone, and it almost killed me. Like you said, I wasn't doing a very good job of balancing my life and school. Junior year was kind of all school, but
how many hours of sleep did you get a night during that time?
not a lot.
Not a lot.
5
Really?
was probably a good night.
Easy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was hard. It was
Okay.
really hard. I still can't believe I did it. I don't know how.
How about that? Okay. Well, job well done.
Thank you.
Job well done.
Thank you.
Needless to say. So this is an interesting one for me, because working directly with the Department of Education on digital safety and ethical AI does sound like a plot for a teen sci-fi drama. But in reality, it's serious business, right? This is crazy stuff that's going on, and it's happening all so fast. What have you learned from your experience that schools absolutely need to understand? And as a student, do you see AI as more of a helpful assistant to you, or are we closer to like this robot takeover than I realize?
Wow. I'd say we are. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Working with the U.S. Department and just getting involved with AI is still one of the best opportunities I've ever had, and I'm so grateful that I got to do that. And I think the biggest thing that schools and people in general need to be on top of is just being educated and knowing what's happening. Because if schools and everybody just view AI as the enemy and don't understand what it's doing and what its capabilities are, you're going to fall behind, and it really is going to take over. Because if you don't know what's happening, then how are you going to either prevent it or use it for good? Because AI is inevitable. It's the future. So
it is. Let me take it another step forward, because I've reported a lot on AI. I push it in schools. I constantly teach educators and administrators how to use it.
Right.
I understand their perspective. I understand a parent's perspective. But I've yet to really truly comprehend a student's perspective. Do you feel as though most students utilize AI? And if they do, are they using it for ways that allow them to learn, or are they using it for shortcuts mainly?
I think right now a lot of students definitely are using it for shortcuts just because they're not aware of the capabilities, and their teachers aren't really marketing it, I guess you could say, in a way that it is helpful.
At all, right? Nobody's really pushing
It's
it.
the enemy.
It's and that's why I'm constantly fighting against that. And I would wonder if we're teaching the teachers how to use it so they can teach the kids a little bit more effectively, if that will allow students to maybe use it better.
I definitely think so. That's one of the main points that we had when we were meeting with the U.S. Department of Education, was getting these courses out there for teachers to understand what the capabilities are and how they could use it for lesson planning, or maybe just helping students get caught up on things, and just what ways it could be used to benefit not only the teachers and their curriculum, but also the students in a more beneficial way than just cutting corners and getting assignments done.
So then give me the inside U.S. Department of Education scoop, man. Are they going to adopt AI? Are we going to have it?
I think they are. AI is definitely very quickly taking over everything, and they're for it, and the government is using it in their own ways. So we can't stop it, so we have to learn to use it.
Are you seeing GPT, Gemini, Claude? What are you seeing at the top that most schools are using?
A lot
or
of,
is it everything?
I think it's a little bit of everything, but GPT and Claude are the two biggest ones that I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did see last night Google put out a huge update, Claude 2. Whatever the next one is, and so it's supposed to be pretty revolutionary, but they all are, right? I mean,
it's crazy what it can do.
I'm excited to ask this question as an interviewer, right? I'll get into why in a second, but we'll call this question speaking up and speaking out. And so your Forbes moment, not every high school student right, can say, can casually bring up that they've been interviewed by Forbes. And your advocacy around eating disorders and mental health issues clearly resonated widely here. Why was this particular issue important enough for you to become an advocate at such a young age? And what specific changes would you like schools to make to better support students in the future?
I think this is a very nuanced question that's important to touch on.
Okay.
So we're going to get a little personal here for a second. I would say that I myself have struggled a lot with eating disorders and other mental health issues like that, just from being very burnt out and depression and things like that. So
Maisie is human after all.
yes,
How about
yes,
that?
everybody's human. So just coming from that personal experience and feeling very alone in that struggle, and then when finally having the courage, to speak about it and talk to other girls my age and things like that, seeing just how many of my peers are struggling with eating disorders, body image, mental health. Like it's truly an epidemic that all teens, I would say almost every teen has struggled with one of the two. So that really just made me feel like I needed to do something, because I had at one point felt like I didn't have a voice and nobody else understood what I was going through. And then I quickly learned that everybody felt the same way.
Wow.
So if we all felt that way, then somebody needed to be, brave and speak up and make change that would help us not feel so alone.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. As a father who has a daughter who's about to be 13, thank you. Because she really needs to hear that.
It's really hard to be a girl and just a teen in
Yeah,
society in general. There's a lot of pressure.
Follow-up question. Was the Forbes interview in person or did they do it virtually?
It was virtually. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done.
What? Why? Why was it scary? Besides the fact that it was Forbes, were they like coming at you hard? Like what were they saying?
I would say it's the first interview I've ever done.
Oh wow! And it was Forbes?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more seasoned now with college apps and having all the college interviews and then Ventura College and you, but it was the first interview I'd ever done. And it being Forbes, the stakes were very high. And
hysterical.
I don't think I'd ever been more nervous in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
It's probably better it was virtual, Oh my gosh.
Glad. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Wow. Did they ask you anything on the spot that was like, oh gosh?
I feel like it was all kind of on the spot for me, just being new to interviewing and how it works. The whole thing was
Maisie.
I'd obviously had some experience with speaking on the spot with Model UN and mock trial, but when it came to like talking about myself and stuff that I'd done, I'd never really polished how to describe the things I'd done. So it was very difficult to articulate what things I've been working on. And it was mainly about the public policy team I'm on at Harvard, where we advocate for against eating disorders. So we talked a lot about our work and my experience as a girl and a teenager and how these harmful companies are marketing and just my experience overall.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Forbes, man.
I still can't believe it.
Did they print it?
I don't know if they did. I think because of like the big pharma companies and just how much opposition our bills have had from really big companies, that it was a little too controversial to end up being printed.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's been very, very hard to get our bills passed. We've gotten it passed in New Jersey and Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
But
that's it.
Yeah. I spoke for the Judiciary Committee at the California State Senate and it didn't end up passing. But we're trying it again the next session. So we're going to hope it does this time.
Well, let's stay on that route for a second because that brings us right into like Model UN and you saving the world. Right?
That's the goal.
and you've already started, right? So representing Guatemala in Model UN conferences sounds fascinating and intense, but honestly kind of fun.
It is.
Right? So do you have any behind the scenes stories from these times or memorable moments from your diplomatic adventures? Maybe something that they didn't exactly go according to plan and you had to pivot on the spot.
I'd say Model UN as a whole is just a very niche like friend group. Almost. Everybody that does Model UN, we all have the same slang, the same terms, and it's just like a little cult almost, and it's the best. It's kind of like the debate kids, but more cooler, I'd have to say. One of my favorite things about Model UN is you never like learn the person's name. So I'm representing Guatemala. So every friend I make, every ally, every person I interact with just knows me as Guatemala. So there's a little
Really?
bit of that, like,
Hysterical.
yeah, like
Hey, Guatemala.
exactly. You just are someone completely different in that moment.
on.
So you get to be yourself and truly advocate for your country and not have your actual name or have to be that person that you usually are. You get to be someone completely different.
Okay.
And then another thing that I absolutely love about Model UN is that people pass notes. Like, it's super sweet. Like,
Wait.
when you're up there speaking,
Really?
people will just jot down little notes like, "Oh, Guatemala, I loved your point on this. Like,
No
let's
way.
collaborate later."
Really? That's
Yeah,
fun?
It's
Okay.
super fun.
Okay. Aw.
I think it's probably my favorite, like, club or extracurricular at high school that I've done.
Model UN.
Yeah, it's the best.
What did it teach you about dealing with difficult people?
You definitely learn diplomacy very quickly
Okay.
and how to assert your own opinion, but in almost like on a silver platter. So you can get it across nicely, but firmly without, irritating or aggravating the situation further.
Okay.
Especially with someone that maybe does not agree with your point at all or what you're trying to do or what you're trying to
Okay.
get past. So you definitely learn, I guess, how to sugarcoat things a little bit.
A digression question just came to mind that I have to ask. Do you use these skills on like your parents or on anybody else?
It's like gentle parenting, almost
Like
like you gotta
gentle
coach them into
right.
something else.
gosh.
I'd say so.
That skill took me a long time to learn. Well done. Well done. I'm proud of
You
you.
learn a lot of things with Model UN. It's great.
All right.
I encourage everybody to participate in it if you're in high school. It's the best.
Interesting. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about Stanford.
Okay.
Heading to Stanford is obviously extremely exciting, right?
Yes.
It's from a principal's perspective, from a parent's perspective, from a teacher's perspective, it's extremely impressive. Extremely impressive, right? Like I think it's top shelf. And so, with that also, I'm assuming it's a little intimidating.
Very.
Okay.
More than a little, yeah.
What excites you most about this next big step?
I'm really excited. Like, I love Ventura and I love being in a small town in a place
Okay,
like this.
sure.
But I'm just so excited to go to a place where everyone is not the same as me in that sense, but the same intellectually. Like, everybody is so motivated. Everybody at Stanford wants to make a difference. Like, I feel like Stanford is my people. They're the kind of people that I want to surround myself with and people that I could see making change in the world and just having that same ambition as I do.
Okay.
I think that's what I'm most looking forward to.
I got to say that's a perfect answer. I would love for you to be in that environment and immersed
wait.
in that world of
Yeah.
academia to a level that is so motivating and inspiring.
Exactly.
What keeps you up at night about it and is a little bit intimidating?
I think on that same point, just the imposter syndrome that I am feeling.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, it's bad. I'm just trying not to think about it too much because the more I think about it, and obviously I'm following all the people on social media that are going there too, and just LinkedIn is the worst. Seeing
Yes.
everybody's accomplishments, it makes me feel like, am I gonna be smart enough to be there? There's a lot of self-doubt, I think, but I'm just trying to reassure myself that if I got in, I deserve to be there.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, obviously.
Right.
Right, 3%.
I still can't believe it.
I'll just
It's a dream
throw that
come
back
true.
at you. But at the same time, it is interesting to hear that no matter how accomplished you really are, no matter how much you have done, you still have this notion of self-doubt.
And I think that's a really important lesson for everybody to learn, that
Yeah.
everybody's feeling the same way that you are.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. All right. Thanks for sharing that. That's pretty
Yeah.
huge. Okay. Let's do a little bit of a different segment where I'll fire some different questions at you that just touch upon different controversial topics.
Okay.
Because
Great.
I have one of the smartest people I have encountered in my life sitting in front of me, and I can't not take this opportunity. So let's get started.
Great.
You have some students in your presence. This is your situation, okay? And I want you to tell me what you would do.
Okay.
You have some students in your presence, and you're on campus at high school, let's say. So we're all talking about 18-year-olds, potential 18-year-olds, potential voters.
Mm-hmm.
You hear somebody say, I'm not going to vote. It doesn't mean anything to our age group anyway.
Okay.
How do you change their minds?
So I've actually been in this exact situation. Last year was when I first got into voter registration and just working a lot with that, and especially youth registration.
Okay.
So I ran a youth voter registration drive at Ventura last year, and I did it all by myself. It was really scary. Typically, high schooler will feel a little embarrassed about doing something like that, especially by themselves. But I tried to put that aside and just do what was best. So I set up this little table by the parking lot where, all 2,500 of my peers are coming out of class, going to the car to get food, whatever. And I just had QR codes, and I was ready to face all of them and get them registered to vote. So, of course, apathy is a huge problem. Most people my age, most young people, just don't feel like their voice matters, don't feel like their vote or anything they do is going to change the system, because there's just so much distrust in our government and in democracy as a whole. A lot of people feel like it's failing. So I had many people come up to me asking me, like, why should they vote if their vote doesn't matter? They don't feel like their vote matters. And the thing that I would say most of the time is, your vote or our vote is shaping our future. Like, all these people in charge now, they're much older than us, and eventually we're gonna be their age. And if we don't vote for the things that we want to see, our future is not going to reflect us. The policies, the legislation, government, everything that we believe in is not gonna be there when we get to that age. Or even now, like, you're a young person, you can make change with your voice now. And voting is just such an important way to do that. And so yeah, my biggest thing is just, if you're not voting, you're not contributing to what our future is gonna look like.
What was the general reaction from your student peers when you were doing this?
It's really important to connect with them on that level and not,
jump
into it too much that way. And just, I would talk about them too, about the things that they were passionate about. Maybe climate change or gun legislation, stuff like that. And
so you got into it.
You got to get onto that level and get them fired up about something that they're passionate, and give them a reason to be like, oh, like, wait, this is something I really care about. And you're right, if I don't put my voice into this conversation, then the laws and legislation in my future isn't going to shape my views and my goals. So it's just really important to connect with them on that, like, personal level, instead of like shoving politics down their throat and being like, you need to do this.
Right. Wow. Okay, so what would Maisie do in this situation? As a future leader in politics, you will be faced with decisions that weigh populations of the common good against each other, as every issue has two sides. In our world of politics today, we have yet to bridge this now giant gap between the two parties in the U.S. How does Senator Maisie Hatler do this successfully?
I think this kind of connects back to what we were just talking about in Model UN, even the things that you learn there with diplomacy. I think humanity has really been taken out of the political sphere. Like, the division between parties has completely taken away any kind of human connection, and it's just created this hate for the other just because they're not the same as you.
Okay.
So I think this is probably the biggest issue in politics right now, is this polarization and this division, and we need to find some way to bring humanity back into politics and realize that they're people too, and just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean you hate them, and we really need to learn how to listen.
That, I was going to say, that seems to be your greatest tool, but you're also a talker. You can communicate with them as well on their level, right?
But that's the thing, you need to find that balance between talking and getting your point across, and listening and see where these other people are coming from. Because like you said, building that bridge and crossing that gap is listening to the other side and finding a compromise. We need to find a compromise.
Yeah, you got to at least listen
100%.
To start, right? And
100%.
a compromise starts with that. So
exactly.
All right, right on. Your academic accomplishments thus far have included several firsts for Ventura High School. And as valedictorian, it's an honor to share that in a speech at commencement. And your privilege to brag in front of all your peers, right? The recognition of which earns the respect you deserve for working so hard over the course of the time you were there. Given that millions of people will watch this, Maisie, millions. And Ventura High School has decided not to allow the valedictorian this chance to speak at the graduation ceremony, as it is not their tradition. What message would you like to share that you would give on the stage?
I think my piece of advice that I would share with all of my peers and just going into the future would be to never take no for an answer. Because if I had taken all the no's that I had heard along the way for an answer, I would not have accomplished a single one of the things that I had done. You really just have to push those boundaries. And if someone tells you no, you gotta find a way around it. Because if you want something that bad, a no is not gonna stop you.
Okay, I like that. I also have to say, as a former principal and a 27-year educator, I apologize that you don't have that chance to share out your message and receive what you would if you were doing that on stage. I do hope that Ventura High School comes up with something still. There is a little bit of time.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this overall? I do want to ask.
Okay. It's definitely very disheartening, you know, just working so hard. All of high school, I truly killed myself. Just the proof is in the pudding. I have the highest GPA that's ever been achieved in Ventura County. And
what is it?
My cumulative is a 4.92. So, it's not even just like the recognition for like, oh, like I'm the valedictorian. Yeah, I need that self-praise. Like, it's not that. It's just the principle that it's promoting that academics really aren't that important and you shouldn't, get recognized for working so hard. And just, I guess on a selfisher note, just seeing all my friends that, are valedictorians at other places getting all this praise and these amazing things for the work they did, it's kind of a slap in the face, and not just the academic aspect of it. I put so much of my energy into making Ventura a better place and starting all these new things.
Yeah.
And just to not even get to speak at my own graduation is really upsetting.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
It sucks, but
Wow. Thank you for that.
yeah.
All right, so let me put you in another situation that revolves around high school curriculum that prepares students for the rapid social and societal changes that we're faced with. Let's include things like AI ethics,
Okay.
Civic engagement,
Okay.
but let's also use things like cell phone use, technology as a whole, like technology addictions, digital citizenship, right? Social media presence as well. But let's also include things like health education,
Okay.
right? What are the top 3 elements, let's say, if some of those are examples, that would best reach today's high school students because they're the most pressing ones that are real to them?
I'd say public education definitely has a long way to go.
Yes.
And looking at all those elements that you just mentioned, I think civic education is one of the top ones for me.
Interesting.
Just because even in my experience helping register these students to vote, a lot of students didn't even know how to register themselves or that they were eligible to vote.
Really?
So a little shout out to my friend Julia Chambers. She's started this amazing organization called America Undivided, and they're working right now actually to get a bill passed for California where civic education is a mandatory graduation requirement course. And I think that is so important. Like, we take American government and we take econ, and I think that would be awesome if we included a part, maybe even into Gov, about our civic duties and civic education as a whole, and how we as young people and students can get involved with that, whether it be voting or other things along those lines.
Interesting. I like that.
So I think maybe modernizing the curriculum a little bit, which is a lot, and
Okay.
obviously, and it's just a theory, but little things like that to make it more effective in an age like we're in with rapid technology advancements with AI, and then also just the political climate and needing people to participate. There's a lot of things we could do with
Okay.
that.
I'm always curious to get a student's perspective because I do see that it is completely disconnected from a lot of the realities of today's needs and demands.
Right.
Do you think that schools kind of prepare you for the workforce, like for the work world?
Not at all. I don't think school has prepared me at all for anything outside of school. I think what the high school system or just school system we have in place now, all it really does is teaches you how to like get by.
Yeah.
I feel like even in a lot of my classes, you're not necessarily learning the material that much. You're just trying to figure out how to make it work and how to get by and how to get a good grade.
Okay.
So I think a lot of like the actual learning and understanding has been taken out of school just because of the standard that's been set for getting good grades.
And there we are with our large education publication companies, you guys. You know how I get down on the show and I fight against them. There is proof even from the student's perspective that they're no good. Okay, Maisie, you're doing great. And we're almost at the finish line here. But before I let you go, I want to throw you on a hot seat and get some Maisie's quick takes from you. I'll ask you a question about you. So it's not really in these crazy issues like we've been going down. But let's have some fun with some of the answers, right? So the idea here is to kind of just to get to know you. So they can be fast. It's not going to be a lengthy one. Favorite high school memory?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like one doesn't really just pop to the top of my head.
Oh,
like
wow.
a lot of high school has definitely been grinding out school and doing extracurricular things and stuff. But it might be a recent one, honestly. Prom was last weekend, and I think it was the most fun I've had at a dance before, and it was definitely very nostalgic, you know, my last high school dance and being together in one place all dressed up with all my friends for the last time until graduation.
Oh, wow.
Prom. It's really sweet, but really sad. But I think it was definitely a memorable night.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that it was awesome. That's nice. Best advice you've ever received?
I think it might have to be from my mom. I even wrote about it in my essays for college. It's just to be unapologetically yourself. Just to be unapologetically authentic.
I like it. From your mom?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Don't let people change you.
Don't let people change you. I like it. I mean, you are going to Stanford. You're going to be surrounded with that.
Oh yeah.
So
lots of eccentric people. I can't wait.
Great advice. Your mom is the best.
I know.
Okay, here's a pretty interesting one for me. One myth about Gen Z you'd love to debunk right now.
That we're lazy. I hear that all the time, that our generation is lazy. Our generation is not lazy. I think we're one of the most politically, socially engaged groups of young people that has ever been seen. Like, I know so many amazing people that are just doing all they can to get involved and make a change with a system that they don't think is right. And I just know so many hardworking people just at my local high school that have such amazing dreams and have worked so hard all of high school that we are not lazy.
Maisie, you just restored hope in me in the future. I can't believe you were just saying these things. I'm going to cut that out and make it a short and send it to all my friends. They need to know. Everybody needs to hear that. Okay, that was awesome. That was a really good answer. Thank you.
And even if people are considered lazy, maybe it's just because they haven't had that right, maybe even teaching, coaching, or just opportunity. They haven't had that opportunity to find themselves and find something that really motivates them, like especially what we were talking about with school earlier, where it's become so disconnected from actually learning. Maybe they haven't found something that makes them want to learn or get involved. And so I think everybody has that potential, and lazy is not the right word to use.
I like it. You heard it here first, Gen Z. Okay, a book, podcast, or a show you'd recommend that everyone should see or listen to or read?
I don't really watch shows. Ever.
Never?
I don't watch TV.
No TV?
I don't watch TV. No, I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. That's not really my thing. Well, one thing I did watch was Suits. Every episode. I love Suits. Oh my gosh, Suits is the best. But besides that, I think this is a little different than what you said, but on Instagram, there's this page called Here's Why Kevin, and it's this dude, and he is so up to date on every single issue. I know you're not supposed to use social media as, you know, your news source, but I'd say it's one of the biggest things that I do look to when, you know, current events are happening, is this page called Here's Why Kevin.
Here's Why Kevin.
Because he explains everything in detail. It's very unbiased, and it's constant updates on all the situations around the world.
Does he reveal his sources?
Yes, he often goes on live. He goes on a story just like talking about all the issues, getting other people's opinions involved, and I look at it a lot.
Kevin,
so.
Well done.
Kevin's great.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay. So your guilty pleasure TV show is Suits? Really?
The only TV show.
Of all the shows?
Yeah.
Because it's like a lawyer show?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I just seen a clip of Harvey Specter being cool on Instagram or something. I was like, oh, what's this? This looks awesome.
You know,
and then I watched it all.
This brings up a really good opportunity here. So all the people listening, if you could leave a comment below, give Maisie a suggestion of something that she could watch that isn't Suits, not to knock Suits. I've heard good things. I hear good things, but yeah, let's give her a variety. If you could keep one app on your phone, what would it be? I mean, you got to call, and you got to call.
Right.
That's it.
Just call?
Just call. You can keep one other app.
Well, then I think it's between either Google,
The internet.
I think the internet is one of the biggest tools that's ever been. So probably just Google.
I'm going to ask you this one then. AI over Google?
No.
No.
The
Going
reason I
straight to AI.
say that is because AI, yes, it has a lot of amazing resources, but Google and news reports, maybe the people are utilizing AI, but they have that human take and experience. AI doesn't have that human experience or that emotion that humans have.
Okay.
So AI is awesome. It's a great tool, but
Okay.
I wouldn't solely rely on it because it just doesn't have that human approach that
We're still
need.
using Google.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm in. Okay. just figuring it out for myself. The old quintessential dinner guest question. Living, historical, fictional, who's that person going to be?
AOC.
Really? Oh my gosh,
She's
really?
like one of my biggest inspirations.
The Boogie Down makes the list.
I love her.
Really? Okay, so AOC.
I was so mad that she didn't come with Bernie Sanders to California for their little fight the oligarchy.
Because they were selling it out.
Yeah.
Right?
I wanted to go so bad. The closest one was in Arizona, though.
What one question would you ask her?
I think I would ask her about imposter syndrome.
Really?
Because she is on it. She's always got a clap back for everyone that's ever questioning
true.
her, and
She's
she
pretty quick.
is so confident.
Yeah.
And I try to be confident. I mean, a lot of confidence, I think, is just pretending. But I want to
Okay.
take lessons from her about that. Because
Okay.
she is just so inspiring. I want to be like her, especially in the Senate, that I can be that much of a badass. I don't know if I can say that on here, but
You can. All my New York followers,
She's a
send this
badass.
to AOC. I know you guys are close in the
love
Bronx
her.
there, so send it out. One totally irrational fear that you've never admitted publicly?
I'm scared of a lot of things.
You are? Really?
I think spiders is a little common, but I will have a full-blown meltdown if I see a spider, even if it's like this big. Tears, panic attack, can't breathe.
Arachnophobia, right?
Bad.
Isn't that what it is? Yeah.
Really bad.
Spiders
I
or
really hate
snakes?
spiders.
Are you good with snakes?
Snakes are fine.
What?
They, just as long as they're not too close to me, but spider,
Maisie,
I draw the
really?
line there.
As we sit in this quasi jungle of a
Yeah, I
backyard.
know. I was looking at the spider web
there's
over
one
there
right
on that
here.
table.
I'm like, okay, great. All right. I want to ask this question because I ask this question in front of students often when I'm at schools.
Okay.
How many hours a day are you on your phone? You know that average
Too many.
thing you get every week? How many, what's too
many.
many? Is it more than 4 hours a
Yeah.
day?
Probably like 6.
6 hours a day.
Maybe
I think It's
7.
kind of a little high on the average side, but
Yeah. I think definitely technology has hurt a lot of teens, including myself's attention span.
okay. Absolutely. I agree.
And just that constant dopamine. It's hard to put it down. And I feel myself doing it, just picking up. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
put it down.
Because I was going to ask you, since I have the opportunity, what are you doing to battle it? Since you recognize it, you see it, you know, what you can just put down. Do you deal with your notifications? Do you turn those off?
Oh, I'm on Do Not Disturb constant. I don't have
Oh, okay,
notifications ever.
okay.
Yeah. I never turn Do Not Disturb off.
All right.
I just have a few people, like my mom, my dad, my brother, that go through Do Not Disturb when they call. But that's something that works for me, is like having your phone beeping is just so distracting. Like you already know it's there and you want to pick it up, but then you hear that constant dinging.
Yeah.
Put your phone on Do Not Disturb.
Interesting. That's like that personal focus mode or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Just put your phone. Awesome. Okay. Describe your high school experience in only 3 words. And this is my last one. So you can
Okay.
take a second if you have to.
Okay. Challenging.
Okay. Junior year, right?
Just facing a lot of pushback for all of my goals. You know, I switched schools halfway through high school because
Yeah.
of how unhappy I was there and how that was going. And then, you know, seeing kind of the same issues and unwillingness to support or dream big and all that kind of thing. It feels like a lot of just high schools aren't building up students to their full potential. Like,
Wow.
I honestly felt pretty held back
Yeah.
by both my high schools.
Yeah.
So I would say challenging, very challenging, with not only school issues, family issues, just balancing everything. It was hard.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say it was the hardest 4 years of my life, but rewarding at the same time.
Okay.
I had some of the most amazing experiences ever.
All right.
And obviously the best memories and the best friends and just so many things that I hold so close to my heart from high school.
Wow.
That even though it was challenging and there were a lot of low lows, there were at the same time very high highs.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Challenging, rewarding, testing.
Ooh.
It really taught me who I was.
Okay.
Because with all those challenges, I could have just backed down, but instead, I kept going and I learned to overcome them and push, and it kind of just showed me, and with that self-doubt thing, just my capabilities and the kind of person I am and the kind of person I want to be.
Okay. And so when you have this self-doubt, you have prevailed, you have pushed yourself, you have continued to persist through regardless. Those are three really solid answers, I have to say. I know you were saying that you didn't feel as though the high school prepared you best for what's going to come next in your life. But those are pretty good answers. Those
Thank
are pretty
you.
solid, yeah. One last hot seat for you.
Okay.
Let me take you down memory lane. What are your greatest accomplishments? What are the things that stand out for you that you'll always remember that have led to you to give me those three words as your answers of your high school time?
Okay. There's a lot.
All
There's
right.
a lot of things that, like
Cool.
I said, that I hold very close to my heart that I've been able to do. I think starting back in 8th grade with a project I started where I was building these little libraries
Okay.
and stocking them with books, and they're portable, and I would donate them to, schools that didn't necessarily have access to a library
Cool.
or these learning materials.
Okay.
Just like connecting with these kids and seeing how excited they were to have these books and just how grateful they were just for a book. Like,
Interesting.
it was just so beautiful to, read these stories with them and have all them hugging on me and just getting to see that pure joy for the ability to learn. And it really shows you like how much we take our education for granted when just something as simple as a book can make all these little kids' day.
Okay.
So I think that's definitely something that I really hold special to me, is just the ability I had to bring these resources to kids that want to learn and just feel their curiosity that I felt when I was a little kid. I loved powering through those books. So getting to share that with other kids was amazing.
You seem emotional, like when you're talking about how you help people out. It's super sincere. I just want you to know that. You have this like very authentic drive
Thank you.
to want to help people. Does anybody ever tell you that before?
No.
It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. That's
Given
my
how
goal.
intelligent
That's
you are,
really
it's
all
awesome.
I want to do, is just make a difference and help better people's lives.
Wow.
That's my goal in life, I
Wow.
guess.
Okay, what else? Tell me some more.
Then next would probably go into the dual enrollment stuff after, or in 8th grade and starting high school, I started taking those college classes.
So 8th grade, you started college classes.
Yeah.
Fun.
It was a wild ride. It was crazy being that little. How old was I?
Like 14,
13
15?
or 14.
Holy
Kid
moly.
in the classroom with 20-year-olds.
How old are you now? 17?
18.
18, okay.
18, I was
Okay.
18 in December.
Oh
So
my gosh.
just like being that teeny little kid in the classroom,
Yeah.
looking up all these 20-year-olds. It was crazy.
You were on the campus.
Yes. Yeah. It was
What was the class?
health.
What'd you
The
get?
first, an A. The first two college classes I ever took were art appreciation. That class was so hard.
Really?
That class was so hard.
Art
And health.
appreciation?
That class was so hard. One of the hardest ones I ever took.
Oh my
That
gosh.
professor and that class, oh, that was hard. But then just leading up to that moment junior year when, that same little girl, like now, I was still that little girl. I was the junior in high school sitting around all these college graduates, and this just walking across that stage was probably one of the happiest moments ever, besides getting into Stanford. Like,
Yeah.
just, I never felt a feeling like that before. Just like looking up into the crowd at my parents. I have a picture like that when I'm walking down the stage.
Gosh.
That was one of the best moments ever.
And this was in 11th grade.
Yeah.
Okay, you're sitting at home, you get the letter from Stanford, is that what happened?
Okay, I have a video.
You have a video of it, of course you have a video of it.
Because you see all those things on TikTok
Yeah.
and Instagram where they
And they
film
open
the
it up.
reaction video and open it up. Yeah. So I applied to Stanford early action.
Wait, can you send me the video so
Yeah.
I can put it in? This is great. This
I
is
look so bad at the video.
Okay.
So I don't know if you are like that familiar with the college process or like acceptances.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
assume you are, but so I applied early action,
Yes.
and nobody from Ventura has ever gotten into
Ever.
Stanford early
So
action.
no one has ever got into early action.
Right. Because the acceptance rate, it's supposed to be higher because if you get in early action, at most schools you have to go. But that's not how it is at Stanford. It's not binding. You don't have to go if you get in early action. But
Okay.
that's the idea. But typically the acceptance rate usually is actually lower because during early action is when they take all the athletes.
Oh,
So instead of being that like 3%, it's more like 1.
okay.
Because the people that they're taking are usually the legacy and the athletes, and then that one small percent that they don't want to go anywhere else. So I was like, there's no way I'm getting in. You know, there are people saying like, oh, she's not going to get in. Even, not to diss my parents, but even they were kind of, you know, a little worried for me because it's been my
Aw.
dream school since 6th grade.
Has it really?
Yeah. I wanted to go there since 6th grade. It started out with volleyball. I wanted to go there to play volleyball because
Wow.
their team is amazing. But so I was home and it came out at 4 o'clock and I was crying for like 3 hours before. Just so scared, so scared. And my parents had actually decided with my brother to go to an AC/DC concert. I think it was actually it might be Metallica. So I'm home alone to open this decision and I'm just crying, I'm crying. And I pull out my laptop at 4 o'clock and I'm like calling my best friend, like come open it with me, but she lives in Ojai, so she's taking too long and I'm like, okay, I can't wait anymore.
Oh my
So I log
gosh.
into my thing, I'm filming it and I keep forgetting my password. So I'm just like hyperventilating and I log in and I hit that button and the confetti pops up.
Oh
And
my
it was
gosh.
the most amazing feeling I've ever felt.
That's how it goes? They do the...
If you get in at the confetti and the first word, you know you got in because the first word is congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Instant tears again. And
What
just
did you do? Did you call
screamed.
somebody? Yeah. you
Screamed. I screamed and I was just crying and then I called my parents and then they were crying and then my best friend's at the door and I opened the door and I'm just bawling. She's like, but is it good or bad? I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
right.
got in. And then I called my other friend who's at Stanford and it was just all that hard work, all those late nights, all that stress just paid off.
How many credits were you taking at one point in time to get signed off when you were a junior? Was it 18?
I took 9 college classes junior year.
9 college classes?
Yes. And then,
And how many credits do you have now overall?
so you need 225 to graduate. I have 430. Yeah.
Good job, man.
Thank you. It was not
Wow.
easily done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did
I can
lose
show you
that?
the video if you want to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
It's really funny.
It was at this point in time that Maisie took out her phone and showed me this video of her opening up her acceptance letter from Stanford. It was filled with interjections in the English language that accurately described her emotions in the moment. I can only imagine what that must have been like, considering she still remembers it exactly as it happened today, months and months later.
And then called mom and dad and they were pretty much the same.
Wow.
I can still like feel that feeling. And when I opened it, it was like unreal.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
All that effort, all that hard work.
I think that's still like the best moment of my life so far.
Are there any other remarkable moments you wanted to share? I don't want to cut you off.
I mean, the meeting with the U.S. Department of Education was pretty up there. That was pretty insane walking through that building.
What are they like?
They were honestly really nice. They were a lot younger than I was expecting.
Yes, no, I know they're young.
They were young and they were very hip and they were, there was about, I think my education group, there was probably 10 of us.
Okay.
So it was a pretty intimate group and they just had a little PowerPoint
Oh,
with all
wow.
the things they want to cover and then we presented our frameworks and our ideas and we kind of just bounced ideas off of each other. It was
Fun.
really casual, which was really nice.
And you think there was some learning, there was some growth, there was
I
some
think
progress
so.
from that?
And I think they were just so excited for us to be there, which was really
Okay.
nice. They wanted to hear the youth's opinion, which
Oh, wow.
was so cool.
Yeah, see, that's I kind of feel like that's a big missing component. Like we're all making up these rules and we're all saying that this is what we want and this is what we think it, and we're not asking the people who it matters to
affect.
most,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
that's cool. That's a good answer.
Oh, this is really recently, actually. I'm sure you're aware of like the cuts that were happening
Of
to the
course.
school district and
Yes.
all the horrible things that were happening with that. I just remember one of my sophomore friends texting me and going, they're getting rid of the College and Career Center, they're getting rid of the Wellness Center, and they're getting rid of our counselors. And I genuinely could not have gotten through high school without my counselor, Mr.
Yeah.
Lazansky. He was the one that fought for me.
Wow.
Every time besides me, obviously, but anytime that we got that no, he would be right there with me in that office being like, no, we're going to figure out a way for her to do this. So just feeling so helpless. The jobs of some of the most important people in my life just gone. And hearing that they'd already had a school board meeting on the classified staff.
Yeah.
And that they'd already made all these cuts when they're some of the nicest, sweetest people that, there's this one lady named Letty. Every time I see her, she just gives me the biggest hug, makes me have the biggest smile.
Yeah.
And just checks up on you. Like, they're the people that make that difference at school.
The everyday little people, right, that make the biggest impact
Exactly.
on
They
the
do.
people
They
that go
truly
there.
make the biggest impact. And just, it was the most helpless I'd ever felt in my community. Like, I'd done all these things to try to make a difference, and then just seeing how the quality of education for my friends, my underclassmen, is just being stripped from them when I already felt like my education wasn't supporting me.
Man.
So there was a protest that day after.
Okay.
Everybody ditched class because, I mean, I don't think that really was helping, because ditching class is taking away money from the district.
Sure.
But they were all like, we're not going to go to class, they're not going to get paid, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So then me and all my Model UN friends, they're amazing. And just, there were like hundreds of students making posters and putting them all around the schools, writing with chalk, and
Whoa.
on the corner with signs, and just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I literally walked onto campus that day and I'm like, why is everybody standing around? What's going on? I didn't even know there was a protest. So then we printed out like maybe 300 flyers with all the board numbers, emails, phone numbers, just telling everybody, reach out to them, write an email, tell them how important this is and how we need to protect this. And so from that protest, the next day was that school board meeting. And I think 1,000 people that were online and in person showed out because of how important this was. And that was the first time I got to speak to the school board about how important this was to me and what they're doing doing to students. So just having that opportunity for me and all my friends who care so much about these people that have made a difference in our life, and getting to speak out, and eventually these jobs getting saved, was one of the most rewarding feelings ever.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. They ended up deciding not to cut the librarians, not to cut the counselors, the wellness centers, etc.
Really? Yeah. Well done.
And honestly, I think it was because of the students. Just
yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it.
They had to open up overflow rooms because of how many people came.
The power of the people, man.
Yeah, it was amazing. It
How
was
about
truly
that?
crazy to see that democracy that we fight so hard for in real time.
This is a roller coaster of an episode for Ventura High School, I have to tell you. I don't know what to say.
The students there are just such
Sounds
beautiful
like it.
souls.
Sounds like
Everybody there is amazing. Yeah.
All right. Wow, well done.
Yeah.
Any words you want to share with your counselor?
Thank you for being my biggest supporter. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Mr.
Well done.
Lazansky, you're the best.
Good job, dude.
He's the best.
Maisie, I really wanted to thank you for your time today, again. In my time working with high school students, I've met some of the most remarkable teenagers. Some have gone on to continue to take advantage of this world by doing what's right for the most amount of people that they could reach. And I implore you to do the same, because you are one of them. Do you have any final words that you would like to share with the audience listening?
Just kind of reiterating some of the things I already said. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be scared of other people's judgment or let other people change who you are. You're so amazing the way you are, and be confident in who you are and use your voice, and don't take no for an answer.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right? Don't take no for an answer.
That's the big one. Don't take no for an answer.
You heard it here, folks. First, folks. On the Traveling Principal Show, my honored guest, Maisie Hatler, future senator, first of many in Ventura Unified's Department of Education here. I mean, how many credits? 400?
430.
The highest GPA, 4.9. 2 associate's degrees in 11th grade. 18 credits at one time, Model UN. We could go on and on. Maisie, you're so impressive.
Thank you so much.
I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me. This is great.